Hi, everybody. Really appreciate you spending time with us today on iShop, and I hope you find what we present to be useful. Some of this is education about websites and business to business and business to consumer, and what we have found over the years to be important for those two channels. By way of introduction, my name is Mark Feldhammer. I founded LogicData some years ago, and I've done a lot of implementations of SyteLine, worked deeply with the product over the decades. I have 2 kids and 3 grandchildren. If anybody shows up in Colorado and wants to go fly fishing, give me a call. So we are an Infor channel partner, have been forever. We focus exclusively on CloudSuite Industrial and SyteLine. That's what all of our customers use. That's what we promote and sell and support. We have a lot of deep expertise across the company in the SyteLine CSI suite, and we continue to leverage that with the iShop product, making it make better and better use of the SyteLine CSI backend. What is it you're going to see today? iShop is the only storefront written specifically for SyteLine. We don't sell it for anything else. It's because it leverages the SyteLine feature functionality so deeply that it just doesn't make sense to try to hook it to somebody else's product. We'll focus a lot today on the differences between business to business and business to consumer. And a unique thing about this product, the same fundamental version of the product runs on all versions of SyteLine CSI from 8.03 on premises to SyteLine 10 in the cloud or on-prem. So we support all combinations, if you will, of SyteLine CSI suite from 8.03 to version 10. What you're going to see is deep integration, and this slide basically gives you a sense of the areas that we've integrated between iShop and SyteLine. Pretty much everything you need that web storefront to see in the back end and to do in the back end. We're going to touch on most of these in the following slides. First thing to know, besides the deep integration about the product, is iShop supports not only consumer sales over the internet, but business sales. There's a big difference between these two channels. By way of orientation, all of us have shopped on places like Amazon, used web storefronts like Spotify. Those products are all focused on consumer sales, selling to an individual sitting at home buying consumer goods. And very few of those products have features that focus on business to business sales. But iShop does, because most of the SyteLine installed customer base sells to other businesses. So when we talk about that channel, the business to business channel, there are sub-channels that we found our customers are selling to. They sell to other manufacturers, they sell to distributors, they sell to retailers who maybe then sell to the public, or they sell to what we call an end user, to another company who's going to use the product internally. Maybe it's a doctor's office who's using testing equipment that you would sell them, or a dentist's office, or a facility that's buying pieces and parts from you for maintenance, upkeep of their facility. So it's these business-to-business channels that are somewhat unique in the world of storefronts that you just don't see elsewhere. So at the top level, what are some of the differences for a business-to-business consumer? One of the things that happens when the person logs in and we've identified that this is a business that you do business with, we can expose pages on the storefront. We can show them additional menus and options and items that they could buy as, say, a distributor that you wouldn't necessarily sell to just a consumer. So in protecting your distribution channel, you can still put your products onto the storefront for your distributors to buy directly, but their customers wouldn't see those products. That would be hidden from them, and a subset of other products would be visible. You can have multiple roles in this sense. You can have other manufacturers, you can have government agencies, hospital chains, different types of customers that log into your website and would see different products. Of course, business to consumer, you and I go and buy something on Amazon, we pay for it upfront with a credit card. But if you're selling to one of your business customers, they might already and probably already have credit with you. They buy on a purchase order, they get 30-day net terms, perhaps a discount for prepay or early pay. So we've supported both of those models in the sense that a consumer can use a credit card, but once you've identified them as a business customer and given them an association with a business account, they may see their own pricing, they may see their own parts. They can buy on a purchase order rather than using a credit card. Makes it much easier for them to do business with you over the web. One of the things we expose to them is pricing. As you know, SyteLine can have different pricing for the same products for different customers, as well as quantity price breaks. So we expose that and we use that order entry and show the customer his pricing versus the retail pricing. Customers can also put in future dates on orders. This is unique in business to business. Again, if you shop on a current consumer website, it just says usually ships in 2 days. But what if you know that this is something the customer, your vendor has to make for you? So your customer can log in and say, well, I need 500 of these in June. Can you do that for me? You'll notice down here, projected ship date. We're looking at advanced planning and scheduling or other features of SyteLine to calculate, can I ship this on the date the customer asks for? Or do I need to do an ATP, CTP call and find the projected ship date so the customer sees when I really could do it? Also, once you obsoleted an item within SyteLine, it will not show up in your storefront anymore. It automatically sees that obsolescence flag and takes it off of sale. SyteLine has quantity price breaks that are available for general use or specific to customers or customer types. And so we expose that through the storefront. This is a real-time call to SyteLine. We're not storing pricing in SyteLine. This is a real-time call to SyteLine. We're not storing pricing in iShop. We're asking SyteLine for the price, and it's going to bring up the latest price based on that customer's contract with you. As I mentioned, they can buy on account, and you'll notice here they can upload a purchase order with their order. So they can fill out, I want to buy 50 of these, 100 of these, and give you the PO and the PO number that gets associated with that. A unique thing we found is your customers may have more than one buyer, usually do. So there may be 3, 4, 5 people at your customer site who need to use the website to buy product for your customer. In most systems, they'd have separate accounts and separate logins. In iShop, they all share one account, and they have separate logins to that account. So in this example here, I've got Joe and Mary who can both log in for coordinator.com. Joe is set up as an agent, meaning he can add additional buyers to the storefront for his company. And he can adjust for each buyer what their abilities are. So you'll see over here, I can say, well, maybe I don't want this buyer to be able to see the AR aging or to use our customer portal. So Joe can come in here, set up Mary, and turn on and off Mary's features. He could also make Mary an agent administrator, in which case Mary can add and delete other users for the company. A unique feature, I wish Amazon had it, because my wife logs into my account on Amazon and I get emails of what she bought. And if it's a gift for me, it's no longer a surprise. This segments that. So each buyer can buy under the company's terms, but they're separate. They have separate email addresses, separate acknowledgments specific to that buyer. Another feature we found in the business-to-business world, your customer often knows the part number that he or she needs to purchase. Rather than having to browse through the catalog and do searches for that part, they've bought it before, they know the part number, they come right to this form and they can add the part number directly in the quantity they want and check availability and build their shopping cart on the fly with these parts. You'll notice too that they could use their part number. This is a feature of CSI SyteLine where CSI can store your customer's part number. If you're doing that, the customer can use his part number to enter an order into your system and not even have to know your part number. Another thing we found is sometimes you have salesmen in the field working with the customer. They take an order and they have to email it in or call somebody at a desk or whatever. With iShop, they could just start iShop up on their tablet or their laptop and go here and log in as their customer and then place the order for the customer while they're there at their desk if necessary. We also found an interesting thing. Most consumer-based storefronts, you can repeat orders of individual items. You can go down a list of here's the last 100 things you bought and say, I want to buy this again, I want to buy this again. We can do that in iShop, but we also can say, hey, I'm looking at my order that I placed 2 months ago with 30 items on it. I want to repeat the whole order. Don't make me pick every item. So you can go find that order, click copy to new order, and then that copies the whole thing into your shopping cart, where you can then edit and delete items if you need to, change the quantities or the due dates on them. But it makes it much easier for customers to place large repeating orders with you without having to go one by one. Another feature we saw is if you sell industrial equipment, the customer may need to buy parts for that equipment. You can expose the bill of material for the item. You can designate which items on the bill of material should be available for sale. And this is one example, one template we've got that shows this bicycle. Here's the 4 components that we sell, should somebody need to buy a spare for that bike. There's other presentations of this, but the key here is we're exposing the bill of material of your item to the customer. Now, on the other side of the coin, when we're talking about consumer sales, there's a whole raft of things there that we expect to see, and iShop brings them all to the table. So a customer can a customer can come to this form and create their own account. Now, if they do that, they're only going to be able to buy on a credit card. They're going to use retail pricing. They're only going to be able to see the menus and items that you've exposed to the broad public. Or they can say, no, I'm already one of your customers. I want a business account on your website. He clicks this, a CSR gets an email with the information about the customer, and they'll go to a screen we have inside of CSI and enable that customer as a storefront customer. So all of their terms, their accounts receivable, their parts, and everything else automatically get linked to them when they log in. They'll also receive a welcome email with their login and temporary password. Tax calculations. I've worked with many customers who've written their own integrations with products like Magento or Shopify or Odoo. The issue we've often found is those products calculate sales tax a little bit differently than SyteLine does or than Avatax does. Well, with iShop, we use the exact same calculations that CSI uses. We call CSI SyteLine for the tax calculation, so that when you then invoice the customer with a final invoice, the tax amount on the invoice matches the tax amount that they paid for with a credit card at this point, or that they put on their purchase order. So you're not going to get these 5-cent discrepancies that your accounts receivable department has to constantly credit back. These are always going to match. You may be aware that SyteLine itself has coupon promo codes or discount and promo codes. We leveraged that, but extended it significantly. So you can create coupons and promo codes within iShop that would give the customer free shipping, or buy 3 of these from this category and you get 1 of these from this category for free or at a 10% discount. You can make these coupons apply to all the lines of an order or specific SKUs. You can generate unique one-time use coupon codes through iShop. We found some of our B2B customers using this to entice their customers to use iShop for the first time. So they'll send them out a 5% off one-time use coupon saying, when you log into the storefront, whatever you buy, you're going to get an additional 5% off your price, just to get them to try it and see how easy it is. But you can, of course, use this for any sort of promotion. From a consumer-oriented perspective, we do have a product review feature within the system. A customer can come in and give a review of your product. A little secret though, however, before the review is published, it goes to the back office. Someone has to approve the review for it to become visible on your website. So you have control over reviews that come through the site. Of course, product comparison, something we all see on consumer-based sites. We can select up to 4 different items and compare them. It uses some specific text that you have on each item for the text here under the comparison. And then the user can go ahead and select the item to add to his cart. And then things that we do that aren't specifically B2B or B2C, but kind of apply to both sides of the company. Shipping calculations. This is always a bugbear for folks. How do I tell the customer how much this is going to cost to ship? Especially if he orders 3 of them and 2 fit in one box and 1 fits in another, and so on and so forth. So we have rather robust shipping calculations where you can indicate the cubing of a particular product, its weight, the kind of packages it can go in. So you can get very specific in designing your shipping calculations, or you could be more generic. You can say, hey, I want to add 5% for shipping, or this product always ships for $5.95 shipping and handling. So you can do the more simpler math, if you will, and present the customer with a shipping amount. If you're using the first thing where we're coming up with the number of boxes and the weights, we can do a real-time call to UPS, FedEx, or the Postal Service to get back the actual cost to ship that item. Of course, this is the retail cost, not your discounted cost, or however you'd like to set that up. So you don't necessarily pass your full UPS discount on to the customer, but they get a real calculation from here. I'll also mention that I don't have a slide on it, but the customer at one point can put in their own UPS number or FedEx number. So you'll collect on that number rather than on your account.
Hey, Mark.
Yes,
Got another question. We use SureShip as our shipping solution. Can iShop tie in with SureShip to Poll's real-time rates?
Oh, great question. I've had a conversation with Tim about that, Tim McManus, but we don't do it today. This is all calling the real-time rates from these services. We don't really need SureShip unless we're trying to go less than load or other freight carriers that are not UPS or FedEx. If you're just UPS or FedEx, we'll do the real-time rate shopping for you.
And we have one more question. Can you interface with PasteJet for shipping?
Here again, I don't know why we would. Once iShop takes an order, we create a customer order in SyteLine. At that point, PasteJet would take over for whatever shipping calculations you want to do at the back end. We still do the rate shopping for UPS, FedEx, and the Postal Service on the front end and come up with a freight amount, which is going to get written to the customer order freight charge. But then from there forward, you could use SureShip or PasteJet to do whatever labeling you need to do, boxing you need to do. That's completely independent of what we're showing the customer at the front end.
Thank you.
Thank you. CPQ, one of my favorite products. So SyteLine, of course, or CSI has this wonderful configure price quote module. We integrate with that. We will call CPQ on a configured item and step your user through the CPQ process, come back with a price, come back with availability, create a part number if necessary, pass all that configured data to the customer order in SyteLine. If you don't have CPQ, I call this the poor man's configurator. You can assign attributes to products. So for example, this wheel can have a height, a hub type, a spoke count as attributes. And the user has a drop-down list. You see these drop-downs here. He can come in here and drop down what he's selecting. And this is mutually exclusive. So front hub type may only have certain heights and spoke counts, whereas a rear hub type may have different heights and different spoke counts. So this is all set up within iShop as a configurator where he can pick, hey, I need this computer with this chip, but I want to be able to put this drive in it and this much RAM in it, and he can pick those selections from here, and the system will select the correct item to sell the customer. This is visible both in a drop-down view like you see here, or also this is a grid view of the same concept. We sell gears, and the gears have different numbers of teeth. So here again, the user can select from these which gear fits his application. Again, this is just another template we provide that you can select and use wherever you wish within the software. I should mention before I go on, from these templates, these grids that you'll see us use, these are sortable by column. They're filterable grids as well. So you can say, I only want to see gears that have more than 9 teeth, or I want to sort this by the part number instead of the teeth numbers. So the user can do that on the fly. We've also done what's called a filtering panel, and some of our technicians call this a faceted search. This goes on the left side of your screen, and the user can select different attributes, and it will automatically filter what displays on the right side of your screen. We've all seen this. For example, if you're booking a flight, you can say, well, I want early morning flights, I want direct flights. Those are facets or filters that you select, and then it filters all the flights on the right. That's fundamentally what this does. So you're displaying all these bicycles. He says, well, I want men's bikes. I want them 26 inches or greater. I want everything under $300. It's just very handy for your customer. Real-time inventory availability. One of the key things we're doing, we can recognize what your item multiples are. You put these in and say, I sell this in a single unit, in a box of 6, a box of 12, a box of 24, and we can calculate the correct pricing for those different quantities. So if the customer wants to buy boxes instead of individuals, he can do so. We can convert units of measure. So maybe you want to sell it by a box, but you stock it by the each. As long as we have that unit of measure defined in CSI, we can sell it on the storefront with any valid unit of measure. And of course, credit card processing, we support Infor's credit card module. We also have our own credit card module, depending on who you want to use for your gateway. But this is all about Infor's credit card module. Here, it's fully interfaced. So when the person purchases on a credit card on your storefront, we follow the rules of the payment card industry. We do not store that credit card information at all. We call the Infor credit card module. That credit card information is stored at the gateway that you contracted. We do not charge the card at that time. We secure the credit on that card to cover the order. The actual charge against the credit card occurs when you invoice the order after shipment, which is technically the right way to do it. So that's all available. It's built into the system. You just need to own a credit card module on the CSI SyteLine side.
We've got a question.
Yes.
Does iShop take reserved customer order inventory numbers into account? For example, if there's a quantity of 10 reserved on a customer order, does that quantity show available in iShop because it's still technically in inventory?
It does not. That's a great question. So if you're not using APS for CTP, ATP, if you're just using those attributes you discussed there about reserved for a customer order, already allocated to customer orders, already allocated to inventory, allocated to projects, allocated to service modules. We take all of that into account in calculating what inventory is left. So if the customer needs to order 10 pieces of an item, and after calculations, we only have 9 pieces left, then we look at either the standard due period or the lead time, and that's a configuration flag, to tell the customer how long it'll take us to get that item. If you have APS, all of that happens with a click of a button for CTP or ATP.
We have one more question.
Yes.
It's a multi-part question. All right. But significant problem for current system is how to handle when the iShop credit card original authorization expires, SyteLine concern when material must be produced at the time required allows the original credit card authorization to expire. How to know if you can safely ship the order and still complete the charge. We need to know the charge was completed before we ship the customer order in the system.
Great question. And yes, there is an expiration date on all reservations of credit cards. The maximum I've ever heard is 30 days. Authorized.net allows up to 30 days. Some gateways are a little stricter, may only allow 10 days or 15 days. So I understand your problem. Once you take the order on the website, the credit card's been authorized, you think you're safe to ship it, but then the authorization expires. So what we have done in the past is write a background task that runs at night, checks for any expired authorizations, and places that customer order on credit hold. You can additionally, if you want, send an email to a CSR saying, hey, this particular order has been placed on credit hold because the credit card expired. Then you can use the credit card module to reauthorize that card anew. But once an order has been placed on credit hold, you're not allowed to ship it in standard CSI. So that would be the solution, is have the background queue process validate that the credit cards are still valid.
And then can you have a domestic store billing in USD and another store for Europe billing in euros? We have 2 different sites in SyteLine.
Oh, very great question. The storefront runs in the same currency as the site that it's connected to. So if you've got one site in US dollars, the storefront for that site would run US dollars. If you have another site in euros, the storefront would run in euros.
That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. This is a completely brandable product. You can make it look however you wish. This is just some examples of different sites that customers have designed. Our team basically asks you to get your own designers, so somebody who says, this is how I want it to look and flow. And then we do that work and help you get the look, the brand that you wish. Almost limitless. You can do almost anything you wish with this. So I don't want you to think that when I show you the storefront in a minute here, this is how it has to look. I want you to note this screen. It can look any way you wish. And some of our customers have decided to use the storefront as their content management corporate site. So they add additional pages to the site. In this case, where are my distributors located, or my dealers support. You can have investor pages and about us pages and history pages. All of that stuff can be part of the storefront. Or some people have the philosophy that they'd rather that be a corporate site and the storefront be a separate site, which is fine. You just brand them to both look the same using the same colors and fonts and general layout, so the customer doesn't feel like he's left the company. So you have those choices, right? Just keep that in mind. You put everything on one site, or you can split it up where your content management is for your corporation is a separate site from the storefront itself. From a marketing support perspective, we do full SEO support within the site, so you can have tags and hyperlinks and all those wonderful things. We integrate with Google Analytics, and then there's for outbound acknowledgments to customers. You have several email triggers within the storefront. So when the customer places the order, we can send them an automatic order acknowledgement from the storefront. This is different than the order acknowledgement that's in CloudSuite Industrial. When the order ships, you can send them an automatic shipping notification with a shipping link. When they had a new login or changed their password, we can have emails go out there, etc. And all of those emails are done with a WYSIWYG editor. They're full HTML. You can embed pictures and all sorts of stuff into them. Another thing those of you in internet marketing may recognize is the Google search rich results. So here we have an example of our storefront being queried on somebody's looking for bicycles, and across that row there are different bicycles as well as our own. So you can cause your product to show up within that Google rich results if the product's properly listed on the iShop site. From a sales perspective, customers can upload documents. So if they have a specification sheet or terms and conditions or special instructions, they can add that to the order upon checkout. Customers can build wish lists. So he's not sure he wants to buy this yet. He just spent the last 45 minutes browsing your site and building a list of things in the shopping cart that he thinks he wants to buy, but he moves them to a wish list, and he can print the wish list, show it to his coworkers, go ahead and get approvals, come back in, move the wish list back into a shopping cart and check out. Abandoned carts, if you're not aware of it, it's someone who was shopping, started to build a cart, and then left, and they left items in the cart. So we can alert you when that happens. We can show you who built a cart. You can set up automatic deletion periods, so delete anything in an abandoned cart after 20 days. But a lot of folks use this as a marketing tool. Joe from Acme logged in. He built a cart with 10 items 5 days ago, and he's not done anything with it. So call Joe and see if he needs a better discount or if there's a question he had. Of course, you can search the website for any attribute of any item. I want to see all black bicycles, or I want to see all wheels of 28 inches in diameter, or anything that has the word seat in it. And those items will then come up. And recently added is the ability for the customer to build a shopping cart and send it to you requesting an estimate. Maybe it's relatively large, and he doesn't want to pay your full retail price or whatever pricing he's got. So he clicks a button, and we actually create an estimate in SyteLine, CSI, with what was in the shopping cart. And of course, with workflow in CSI SyteLine, you could then have someone alerted that an estimate just arrived from the storefront. Something that actually predates the storefront and is what actually gave us the technology to do the storefront is we have written what we call the customer portal. Now we just call it customer reports or customer views, so as not to be confused with Infor's customer portal. This allows you to expose any data from the SyteLine database to your customer. It's fully secure. It's on a customer by customer basis. So a customer can come in and see only their invoices or only their orders or only their estimates or only their RMAs. But you go so far as exposing inventory carrying levels. So maybe you stock inventory specific for that customer. You can show him a report of that. You can show him jobs on the shop floor and their status as they move across the floor. And then the last two items, a customer, if they have an account with you, of course, not a consumer, they can reprint past invoices. And if you turn it on, they can pay past invoices online with a credit card. And to the question from before, multi-site configuration. So I can have any of these three configurations. I can have a iShop site feeding a SyteLine site. I can have two different iShop sites with two different brands feeding a SyteLine site. They would both be in the same currency as the site would be. And then the third one is I might have multi-site backend that are, somebody buys product A, I want that shipped from site 3. They buy product B, I want it shipped from site 2, fully supported in the iShop methodology. This, again, a summary of what we sort of hit on here. The key issues here is very deep integration and very deep support for business-to-business style of transacting. So that said, let me show you what this looks like in real time. When a person first comes to your site, they're going to see whatever menus you've decided is visible to the public, whatever products on those menus the public should be allowed to see, of course, what things you're featuring on the home page. And behind each one of these can be a different template of presentation. So if I pick on road bikes as an example, so this is a template that presents road bikes for the customer to peruse. He can then drill into a bike or a product and get a different template. You're going to see different ones here. This particular template combines multiple bicycles of different sizes and colors into one template. You know, think about buying shoes. Are they small, medium, are they wide, narrow, or regular? Are they 9.5, 10, 10.5 size? That could be what's down on this list. Also, you may have cross-sell items. Well, if you buy this, you may want to buy a padded seat or another gear if you're the kind of guy who really rides that bike hard and breaks your gears. So I can see all of that and what my pricing is for these items. I can pick the black bike and see what my pricing would be for that. Now, I'm a consumer. I'm not logged in. So this is retail, or what you've decided to be your retail published price. And by the way, we can point to CSI SyteLine's item pricing table, and we can read whatever you tell us is going to be your retail price from that table. Very helpful for some environments is the schematic down here. So the guy owns this bike already, and he needs a new frame. He bent his frame. So you can set these schematics up with hot links. I'm going to select that frame. It drills down to the frame and says, okay, if you want to buy it, that's $640 just for the frame. I go back, a little bit more about this template. Obviously, you see we can do the magnifying glass. And then down here on the bottom, you can have different tabs of information about the product. We're really big on tabs. Instead of forcing your customer to scroll 15 pages down to find accessories, you can just go over here and find accessories or reviews or specifications for that product or an overview of that product. Whatever you'd like to display on tabs to make it easy for your customer to learn more about your product. Now, I'm going to go ahead and log in. And in doing so, let's see, we're Joe at coordinated.com. When Joe logged in, this menu right here, distributor, now appeared. It wasn't there before. Joe is a distributor, and there's other bikes and parts that Joe can buy that were not available to the retail public. We also have a Your Parts screen. This is a real-time read of SyteLine. We don't have any parts for Joe. No customer cross-reference products. So this would have been a real-time read of all the items you have within the system in the customer contracts table and his part numbers for those items. Let's pop back over here, distributor, go to road bikes. Again, a different display. Rather than show him pictures of the bikes, he's a distributor. He already has a lot of familiarity with that. And he may be restocking his stock and he wants to see all these parts together. So you can come in here and say, well, I need to buy an FA10000. I need to buy 10 of them. I want that delivered at the end of the week. And he hits this little button and it goes out and says, yes, we can actually ship that today. And your price is $378. We have 10,000 of these on the shelf. Some of our customers hide that fact, but I just wanted you to see if that's possible. If you want to show your customer how many of an item you have on the shelf, you can do so. And I'm going to lower this to just 2 of these and add it to my cart. So Joe can continue to shop around, or he can go over to his cart, and you can see that he's got that bicycle in his cart. And down here you can go, whoops, I wanted to order some other things too. I wanted a different bike, so I'm going to just put in my FA 10,000, and I need 2 of those, and I'd like that on the 28th as well. And what's my price and availability for that? Quantity, I didn't put a quantity in. So there's my price, there's my availability. Let's add that to my cart. The other thing Joe can do is, if he's got a spreadsheet of the items he wants to buy, he can use this upload to cart feature. Go over here, put together a CSV file with these columns, and then just go ahead and select it from his drive and upload it, and it will add those line items to his outbound order. If all of that's kosher, let's go back to his cart. A couple other things we've done that are kind of unique to the SyteLine world. I can add a note to the order header. This will appear on the order header inside of CSI as a note on that order. I can also add a note to the line item. So if your customer needs to give you special packaging instructions or deliver this to the back dock door instructions, anything of that sort, they can add that data here. He can export his cart to a spreadsheet in case he wants to mail it around the office, whatever. He can say, no, I don't want to buy this yet. I want to request an estimate for these. Clicks that, it'll give us an estimate number. Or he can say, let's check out. Oh, by the way, I'll point out here the coupons. If he's got a coupon, he can put that number in here. There's discounts available for him. You design these discounts within the system. If he buys a 1908 part, he can get 10% off shipping as one of the odd discounts we've put in. But let's just proceed to check out. He can now pick his ship to address. These are the ship to addresses that are in CSI. He can add a new ship to address on the fly, and that will then become a ship to address inside of CSI. And there we go. But we'll just do his primary ship to address, and then we go shipping options. One of the things we have in the system is right now I've got, you don't pay anything for ground shipping if the order is over $100. So his order is certainly over that. He's at $1,000 to ground. And then we go next on that. And there's a real-time call right here to SyteLine to see, does he have credit? And if he has credit, is it $1,000 worth of credit? Is there $1,000 of free credit available? Have we violated any of the rules of the SyteLine credit system? Is it more than the credit line limit or overall total order limit? And in this case, he passed. So he can buy on a purchase order. He can come in here and put in his purchase order number. He could upload a document, attach it to that. He could have used a credit card. And at this point, we call the credit card module. We see what credit cards are on file for him. He can pick one of those. He can add a new card on the fly. None of that credit card information is stored within iShop or CSI SyteLine. It's all linked by tokens to the Gateway credit card module. But let's do this on a purchase order. Let's stick with that. Go next. And then he gets one last chance to review his order. Make sure that everything looks kosher on this. Nice clean invoice look to it. He agrees to the terms and places his order. His order is now WB8. One of the parameters is, how do you want the orders coming from the web storefront to be prefixed? So in my demo system, all orders that come through the web are going to start with WB. Makes it just easy to review those orders at the back end. You can also decide what status an order comes in at. Is it going to be coming in as ordered or planned or stopped? Maybe you're in an environment where you need to review every single order coming from the web storefront to make sure the customers order the right pieces and auxiliary pieces. He has the right training for this. So you want orders to come in on a stop status, alert a CSR to review, and the CSR would release it. At the back end, I got logged out. And let's pick the order date of today. And there's the order that we just created in the storefront. It's come across into the system. You'll notice there's a note attached to the header. and that's the note that we typed in on the storefront. The items are the items that the customer ordered. If I drill into any one of them just to see details, I'll see it's the item he ordered, the date he wanted it, his requested date, quantity ordered, his pricing is correct. All those things have come across from the storefront. So here's the line item of that order. Of course, the quantity ordered, the unit price, all that information is there. The note that we added to that line is there, all interfaced from the storefront. A couple of the things on the storefront, we'll go back there to wrap this up. Under accounts and lists, depending on who Joe is, his security, his customer type, and so on, this may be a different list. But Joe can come in here and view his account and see all the different queries he can look at and the reports that are available to him. So he can come in, for example, and look at all of his order lines, everything he has ever ordered. Now, this is not only through the storefront. So there's my WB orders on the storefront, but there's also orders that were placed directly in CSI SyteLine. He can see all of that. Now, if you don't want him to, if you only want him to see the storefront, that's merely a configuration switch. Just say, only I want to show the WB orders. But he can now come in here and sort it ascending or descending. He can filter any of these. So you can see now every time he's ever ordered a 908 or every time he's ever ordered a CP10000. So very handy for Joe to do his own research and not have to call you, depending on what he's trying to find out. We have pre-built filters. So if we just want to show him only those orders where the line items are open and have not shipped, we click that. You can add additional filters if you find any that you feel would be useful for your customer. We also can go, let's go back to viewing the account. I mentioned paying invoices. So you can come over here to pay invoices. It shows him all of his open invoices. And if you enable this feature, he can select those invoices that he wishes to pay with a credit card, proceed to payment. And again, the same credit card interface occurs here. When he hits next, we're going to prompt him for validation and then go ahead and attempt to build a credit card. If we build a credit card, that is going to create an invoice payment record in accounts receivable for the invoices that were selected here.
We got a question, a couple actually.
Yep.
Number one, can a B2B customer choose at time of purchase to use either their credit card or their terms?
Absolutely. It's a switch. He just selects which one he wants to use.
Okay. Second one, you said a salesperson could log in and place an order for a customer. Are they logging in as themselves and can only see their customers to enter an order for?
Currently, they log in first as themselves and they'll see a full customer list. The question becomes, do we need to filter the salesperson by customer ship to 0 or by some other ship to? Because sometimes you have different different salespeople for different ship to addresses. So the current deployment of iShop, the salesman can see all customers.
Okay. And last one. Does iShop have a credit card module that does it re-auth when the original authorization has expired? We have not been able to do this with SyteLine with SendPost.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought SendPost did that. Authorize.net does that, and that's a different credit card module. That's a LogicData credit card module. But I will tell you that we don't sell that module for CSI. It's only for SyteLine. We don't sell it for a cloud deployment. We lean on the Infor credit card module for the cloud deployment. Let's see. This is Jack. Rachel, if you note Jack's name and such, I'll do a little research for you, Jack, and get back on that because I believe there's a way to do it, but it may not be with SendPost, and maybe with a different channel.
Okay, thanks.
Bear with me one moment. Okay, so that was a quick look. There's a lot more I could show you, but I hope it was enough to give you the concept of what's going on here. Again, we consider that our differentiators are the deep integration to SyteLine and the business-to-business functionality that you just will not find if you try to integrate to any typical consumer web store. On this screen, if you want to note this down, we're going to send this PowerPoint out to the attendees. This link is a live public-facing demo storefront of iShop. It gets refreshed periodically, so if you add a new user today and come back in and try to use that user tomorrow, they may be gone because we refresh the storefront. But it's a fully functional storefront with all the features in it. To your shopping cart, you can play with credit cards, you can look at price matrices and so forth. So I welcome you guys to take some time and play with it. And then contact information on the side. info@logicdata.com is the easiest way to get a hold of us, but you can certainly call us as well.